Hi, boys and girls. This is Grandma Sheila with this week's Christmas story. Our story is called Carla's Gift. Well, the young lady that's telling this story was a school teacher at a school. All those students were handicapped in some way. Most of them just had a hard time reading or doing things like that. But the rest of their learning ability was good. Well, the one teacher, her classroom only had 7 children. 6 of them were boys, and one of them was a little girl. The little girl's name was Carla. Now, little Carla, she came to school every day, summer and winter, in the same faded little cotton dresses, the cheapest little tennis shoes that you could buy. Well, teacher was trying to teach her some basic things. She put 12 square blocks of wood. They were all different colors in a row across the table. And she said to Carla, "Can you count them? 1, 2, 3." And Carla went, 1, 1, 1, 1. And teacher said, "No, do it with me." And she reached out her hand and she touched every single one of those blocks. And she went 1, and Carla went 1, 2, and she went 2, 3, and Carla went 3, 4, 5. And then the teacher stopped counting, and little Carla went 6, 7, 9, 10. And teacher said, "Oh, Carla, you forgot 8. Let's try it again." She started at the beginning. Teacher said 1, and she went 1, and then she started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Teacher said, "You forgot 8." And then she looked at Carla and she said, "What's after 7?" Carla went, 8, 8, 8, 8. Well, she kept working with Carla. It was very difficult. She had 6 little rowdy boys in the classroom. They weren't always very nice to Carla. They'd call her names and things, but Carla didn't seem to mind. She just went about doing whatever she was supposed to do. Well, it was almost Christmas time, and the teachers got together and they discussed that the majority of their children came from very, very poor families. And so they probably wouldn't have much or even any Christmas at all. So one of the agencies in town bought a big Christmas tree and they put it in the middle of the gym at the school. Then they got someone to offer to be a Santa Claus. And then the teachers decided, well, what if we have the children just write a letter to Santa? Well, the teachers were going from student to student. This teacher, her boys were not having any trouble writing a letter to Santa. She went over and she looked over at Nathan's letter and she said, "Oh, I don't think Santa can bring you a 4-wheeler. That's too big. Santa just has a big sack and he has to put presents for everybody in it. So you need to ask for something that's not so big." Well, Nathan looked at it, and the little boy sitting beside him said, "Santa's fake anyway. This is dumb." Well, but they did continue their assignment. Well, then teacher went over and she looked down at Carla's little paper. And the teacher had written on the chalkboard, "Dear Santa." And Carla was having such a hard time looking up at the board and then writing each letter. Everybody else was done, and she hadn't even finished the word Santa. So the teacher knelt down beside her and helped finish that, and she said, "Would you like a dolly for Christmas? Let's put dolly on your letter." And Carla, she looked up at the teacher and she said, "No, red, red, red." She always said everything in threes. And then she said, "Red balloon, up, up, up." Teacher said, "Oh, you would like a red balloon." They gave their list of things to the lady who was going to purchase gifts, and they were all given to that man who was going to play Santa Claus. Well, it got closer to Christmas. Finally, the ladies had discussed among themselves, the teachers, as to what to give to who. You know, they tried to give what the child had asked for, but then they came to Carla's, and it said a red balloon. And the ladies said, "Well, she needs something else she can play with. We'll get her something she can play with." So it was agreed that the teacher would bring a red balloon from home and put it in the box with Carla's present. Well, the day they were going to have the Christmas party came, and all the kids were so excited. And all day, all Carla said was, "Red balloon, up, 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 up." Earlier in the week, she had said, "Christmas, baby Jesus' birthday, Christmas." Pretty soon it was 1:30 in the afternoon. The Santa Claus that they had got to play Santa came walking in with his bag of toys, ho, ho, hoing. And all the kids were excited, and they made a big ring around him. And each child had a present. And the kids would open their presents, and they were just tickled with what they had. And the teachers knew that most of those kids would not have any Christmas at home. Well, finally, the Santa pulled a big box out of his sack, and the teachers said, "Oh, that's Carla's box." And so they brought it over to Carla. She stuck out her hands and she took that big box, and she didn't do anything with it. She just stood there holding it and looking at it. And the teachers thought, "Oh, she's probably just overwhelmed with having a present all her own." So teacher went over to help her. And they sat down on the gymnasium floor together, and the teacher and Carla opened that box. And in the box was a big, soft teddy bear. And Carla's face just wilted. She said, "Red balloon, up, up, up." And the teacher said, "It's all right, Carla. See, here in the box, here's a red balloon." And she looked at it and she went, "Up, up, up." The teacher said, Oh, you wanted a helium balloon that floats. You want a balloon that floats, Carla? Yes. Well, the teacher ran over to the other teachers and said, "Can you handle things here? I need to go see if I can find some helium somewhere." Well, she disappeared. She went to the drugstore, but they didn't have any. She went to the bookstore. They didn't have any. She went to all the stores, and nobody had any helium. Finally, she went to the gas station, and the man looked at her and he said, "Yep, we have helium. It's $35 for a container and $20 for the deposit. So to make sure you bring the container back, and then you'll get your $20 back." $35.20. That was $55 to blow up one balloon? She looked at the man. She said, "Isn't there something you can do? All I need is one balloon blown up. Please, sir." He said, "Nope, you have to buy the whole thing." She said, "Come on, it's Christmas. This is the only thing that little girl wants, is a red balloon that can go up. Please." Well, finally he relented and he blew up that one red balloon. When the teacher got back, it was almost time for school to let out, but she rushed over to Carla. And as she was rushing, she saw a long red piece of ribbon laying on the floor, and she tied it around the balloon and she held it by that ribbon and she let it go up in the gym. And Carla was so excited. She took it and she'd pull it down. She'd let it go up and she'd pull it down and she would let it go up. And she kept saying, "Up, up, up. Red balloon, red birthday balloon, up, up, up." Well, it was time for all the kids to get their coats and warm things on because it was cold outside. So the teacher went and helped all the other teachers, making sure the kids were all buttoned up and ready to go. And Carla just sat there on a bench, making her balloon float, pulling it down, making it float, not paying any attention to that big teddy bear. Finally, the teacher came over to her and she said, "Carla, your bus is waiting. You have to go now." So teacher helped her get her wraps on, and she held really tight to that balloon, and with the other arm she had her teddy bear. She went outside and she kept bouncing and bouncing it. Then she looked up and she said, "Up in the sky." And slowly she opened her hand, and the balloon that the teacher had made such effort for floated up into the sky. And the teacher thought, "I went to all that work and she just let go of it?" But Carla stood there, not paying any attention to the kids in the bus that were calling her things like retard. She just watched her balloon as it floated up amongst the clouds, and she smiled great big and loud enough that the teacher could hear her. She said, "Happy birthday, Jesus. Happy birthday, Jesus." And she got on the bus, and the teacher understood. You know, boys and girls, so many times we forget what Christmas is all about. Christmas is about Jesus. and how he came for you and me. Presents started after Jesus was born. The wise men, the shepherds brought gifts to baby Jesus. There's nothing wrong with gifts, but that's not the meaning of Christmas. And it's not how much a gift costs. It's the love that's put in it. Boys and girls, when my children were little, we were sending a box off to their grandmother for Christmas, and I had bought a few things to put in the box for my mother and stepfather. And I'd said to the kids, why don't you make some treasures to send to Grandpa and Grandma? So they had gone off to do that. And our one son, he went out to the woodshed and he got a stick. It was about this long. And he came back in to the house and I saw him go get the Elmer's glue. Now, our kids were little. The youngest was only 4. The one wasn't. The middle boy was not in school yet. And our oldest son was in 1st grade. So they were small kids. But my middle son, he took that stick and he went and he put glue up and down it. And then he'd gone up to my sewing room and he got out 2 skeins of yarn. One was red and one was white. And he started wrapping that red yarn around that stick. Then he stopped and he put on more glue and he put a few rounds of white around it. Then he took his pocket knife and he scratched the part of the stick that was left flat. And then he drew a little tiny face, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Then he took some of that white yarn and he put a little bit of hair on it. And then he put a white beard on it. And I thought, oh, he must be making a Santa. Then he went and he got a little tiny piece of bright red cloth and he folded it so it went up to a point. And then he went and he took his gift. He was so excited and he wrapped it all up and it went in the box to go to Grandpa and Grandma. Well, my youngest, she colored pictures and things that went in the box. And my oldest made treasures to put in the box. Well, then the kids all rushed upstairs. And when they came back down, they had an oatmeal box in their hand. And I thought, what are they going to do with the oatmeal box? Maybe they're going to put their presents in it. I didn't know. So I took it and I was going to open the top to see what was inside. And they went, no, you can't open it. Our presents will come out. And I thought, oh, with kids, you never know what they might put in something. But then I saw that they had a note with their present. And it said to be careful when you opened it so you wouldn't let out the gifts, the hugs, and the kisses. I would have liked to have been a mouse in the corner in the upstairs bedroom as they figured out a way to deposit kisses and hugs into that oatmeal box and shut the lid. And my mother said that oatmeal box was the best gift she ever received. And she would only open it a little crack, she said, going with what the kids had said, to let out just a couple kisses and a couple hugs at a time. So whenever she needed more, all she had to do was open the lid. And you know, that oatmeal box was a prized possession for years and years. Do you know why? It wasn't how much money it cost. It wasn't how expensive it was or what it looked like. It was because it was full of love. And that's what Christmas is all about. And that's why Jesus came. Because he loves you and me. Thank you, boys and girls. I'll see you next week.